You know, we all love our pets. That furry head nuzzling into your hand, the purr of a cat on your lap, that joyful, sloppy lick from a dog when you walk through the door. It's just this amazing bond built on pure affection. But that affection, well, it often involves really close contact. Licks, little playful scratches, maybe even a nip. And as we're about to see, nestled right inside all that love is a world of microscopic organisms we really need to understand. So that brings up the big question, right? Is that lick or that playful scratch just a sign of love? Or could it be a pathway for a hidden and very real danger? Well, the answer, as it turns out, is a little bit of both. All right, let's start with one you've probably heard of. Cat scratch disease, or cat scratch fever. It's a pretty common infection, and it's going to set the stage perfectly for everything else we need to cover. So the culprit behind cat scratch disease is this little bacterium called Bartonella henselae. Now, cats, and especially kittens under a year old, they pick it up from infected fleas. The bacteria then hangs out in their saliva. So when they groom themselves, it gets all over their paws, and from there, it's really easy for it to get transmitted to us through a scratch or even a bite. And here's what's so surprising, just how common this is. Get this. The Bartonella bacteria can be found in the blood of up to 1 in 3 perfectly healthy-looking cats. They often show zero signs of being sick, yet they can still pass that infection right on to us. Okay, so what happens if you actually get it? Well, the progression is usually pretty slow and fairly predictable. Within about 3 to 10 days, you might see a small bump pop up right where you were scratched. Then, over the next several weeks, the lymph nodes closest to that scratch can get swollen and tender. For most healthy people, though, the whole thing just kind of resolves on its own in a few months. And the key takeaway here is pretty clear. As Stanford Medicine points out, most scratches don't lead to an infection, and serious complications are rare. So yeah, cat scratch disease is real, but for most people, it's generally not a huge threat. But our story does not end here. Because lurking in the mouths of our beloved pets is another bacteria. And this one, well, it can be far more sinister. This bacterium is called Capnocytophaga. Now, just like Bartonella, it's a super common resident in the mouths of healthy dogs and cats. But, and this is a huge but, unlike Bartonella, when Capnocytophaga gets the opportunity to infect a human, usually through a bite or even just saliva getting into an open wound, the consequences can be absolutely devastating. Just look at this comparison. It highlights exactly why we need to pay close attention. Cat scratch disease has a slow onset, we're talking weeks, and it's usually mild. A Capnocytophaga infection, on the other hand, can strike with terrifying speed, within days, and it can be life-threatening. This isn't just a minor infection, this is a full-blown medical emergency waiting to happen. And that brings us to the really scary part. What happens when this rare infection actually takes hold and an everyday interaction with the pet turns deadly? When Capnocytophaga gets into the bloodstream, it can trigger a catastrophic chain reaction. We're talking about sepsis, where the body's own response to the infection starts damaging its own tissues. This can spiral into septic shock, heart attack, and total failure of your respiratory system and your kidneys. The infection can also cause gangrene, where tissue literally dies, often leading to the amputation of arms and legs. This number is just chilling. In a 32-year review of severe cases, the case fatality ratio was 33%. One-third of these severe infections ended in death. That's not just a statistic. It is a stark, terrifying warning about the potential danger hiding in what seems like a harmless lick from your pet. And the stakes just could not be higher. If you catch it early as a mild local infection, treatment might be a simple course of oral antibiotics. But once it becomes severe and systemic, the treatments become extreme. We're talking IV antibiotics pumped directly into you, mechanical ventilators to breathe for you, dialysis because your kidneys have shut down, and even, yes, amputation to stop the infection from killing you. The difference is night and day. Now, after hearing all that, it is completely natural to feel anxious, of course. But it's so crucial to understand that the risk is not the same for everyone. So let's talk about who is most vulnerable. So, is everyone really at equal risk from this thing? The simple answer is no, absolutely not. This bacteria is what's called an opportunistic pathogen. That means it's literally looking for a weakness in our defenses to exploit. So, who is most likely to give it that opportunity? Okay, first and foremost, the spleen plays a huge role in fighting this specific type of bacteria. So people who don't have one are at an extremely high risk. The same goes for anyone with a weakened immune system, say from cancer treatment or HIV, a history of alcohol abuse, being over the age of 40, and having other chronic illnesses also significantly increase the risk. For these groups, any pet bite needs to be treated as a serious medical event.
So while the dangers are incredibly severe, they are also rare, and we are not helpless. And this brings us to our final, and honestly our most important section, how we can empower ourselves through prevention. These 3 steps are absolutely vital. Seriously, commit them to memory. Number 1, no matter how minor it seems, wash any bite or scratch immediately and really thoroughly with soap and water. Step 2, monitor that area closely for any signs of infection, redness, swelling, anything like that. And step 3, do not hesitate to call a doctor, especially if you fall into one of those high-risk groups we just talked about. And beyond that immediate first aid, simple daily habits can make all the difference. Keep fleas under control to prevent stuff like cat scratch disease. Teach kids how to be gentle and avoid the kind of rough play that leads to scratches. Always supervise kids around pets, wash your hands after you play with them, and never, ever, ever let a pet lick an open wound on you or your child. These are simple things that create a much safer home for everyone. And that brings us full circle. Our pets enrich our lives in so many ways. They give us companionship and that unconditional love. The risk of these severe infections is low, yes, but the consequences can be life-altering. Knowing the risks and taking these simple, informed precautions isn't about being afraid of our pets, not at all. It's about honoring that incredible bond by making sure we're keeping our entire family safe.